The Subcommittee on Government Operations will come to order, and without objection, the Chair is authorized to declare a recess at any time. Welcome to the what this would be our third edition of the best and worst places to work in the federal government. I might add that it was the Director of the Department of Homeland Security that originally encouraged us, along with Max, to change the name of this from the worst places to work to the best places to work. And so I acknowledge that we are trying to emphasize on what is happening in a good manner, not just in a poor manner as we move forward. And this hearing hopefully will provide a platform to closely examine what the federal employee engagement and satisfaction levels are. The data being examined today comes from the 2016 Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey, which was taken by the federal employees between April and June of last year. And after several years of decreasing scores, I'm pleased to see that a government-wide engagement scores continue to trend positive for the second year in a row. For our hearing purposes today, witnesses will come from agencies who have shown either a great improvement or a large decrease in their scores. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is the most improved large agency, and while the Securities and Exchange Commission is the most improved mid-size agency. Congratulations on your success. We look forward to learning more from each of you. We also welcome the Department of Homeland Security, which should be commended for finally reversing that negative trend, Ms. Bailey, and the negative momentum, and posting the second most improved employee engagement score for large agencies. However, there's a lot of work, as we would acknowledge, that remains. DHS has ranked last among large agencies in employee engagement, and we look forward to hearing from you on what additional steps could be taken to foster more positive momentum. The Surface Transportation Board experienced the steepest decrease of any agency in the employee engagement and saw employee satisfaction scores plummet. So I'm curious to learn what steps the agencies will take to stem the bleeding and the trend that is going in the wrong area. And finally, the Office of Personnel Management and the Partnership are also here to offer their insights on the 2016 Federal Employee Viewpoint Surveys. I welcome all of our witnesses and look forward to learning more from you. As the ranking member will be making his way here, when he gets here, we'll allow him to go ahead and do his opening statement. I would hold the record open for 5 legislative days for any member wishing to submit a written statement. We'll now recognize our panel of witnesses. I'm pleased to welcome Ms. Roberta Jinkwart, Director of the Office of Human Resources and Management and the Chief Human Capital Officer for the United States Department of Agriculture. Welcome. Ms. Lacey Dingman, Director of Office of Human Resources and Chief Human Capital Officer for the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Ms. Angela Bailey, Chief Human Capital Officer for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Mr. Lee Gardner, Managing Director for the United States Surface Transportation Board. And Ms. Veronica Villalobos, Principal Deputy Associate Director of the Employee Services at the United States Office of Personnel Management and Acting Executive Director of the Chief Human Capital Officers Council. And my friend, Mr. Max Dyer, President and CEO of the Partnership for Public Service. Welcome to you all, and pursuant to committee rules, we would ask that all witnesses be sworn in before they testify. So if you would please rise and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please be seated. Let the record reflect that all witnesses answered in the affirmative, and in order to allow time for discussion, we would appreciate if you would limit your oral testimony to 5 minutes. However, your entire written statement will be made part of the record, and so we will now recognize you for 5 minutes. And you need to hit the little button there.
Right. Is that? Okay, thank you. In 2016, USDA was the most improved large agency, moving from 16th place in 2013 to a tie for 9th place in the Partnership for Public Services Best Places to Work rankings. Getting to number 9 was a multi-year effort. We started out with USDA setting a target in our strategic plan to achieve a top 10 ranking by 2018. We additionally set goals to achieve a 70% participation rate in the survey, a 68% positive response on the Employee Engagement Index, and a 65% positive response on the Global Satisfaction Index. We used 5 key strategies to drive the improvements at USDA. Those included effective communication, employee development, performance management, support for diversity and inclusion, and work-life flexibilities. With regard to communication, which was our most important strategy, we asked leaders, managers, and supervisors to communicate more frequently with their employees. We encouraged members to hold our leaders to hold town hall meetings, brown bag sessions, and informal visits. We asked that agency employee advisory councils be set up to get input and empower employees to take action on workplace improvements. As a result of these listening sessions, action plans were created in each of the subcomponent organizations, and those results of those action plans and progress on the action plans were reported to employees. Our second strategy was on employee development, and that was identified as a need in some of the listening sessions. Employees were all given the opportunity to have at USDA an individual development plan. And that is a commitment that we make to the growth and development of our future leaders and all employees. When we started, we only had about 30% of employees with IDPs. By 2016, over 86% of our employees had IDPs. And to further contribute to their development, we created a mentoring strategy. And that mentoring strategy included individuals that were representative of our leaders, our executives, our managers, our supervisors, who supported those employees through mentoring. We also created a 360-degree assessment so that managers, supervisors, and executives could all get feedback from their employees, their stakeholders, their peers, and their leaders. Our third strategy that contributed to our success was performance management. We made sure that performance plans for every employee linked the organization's mission so that each person could see how they contributed to strategic goals. We also incorporated employee engagement in the performance plans of supervisors, managers, and executives so that their progress, or lack thereof, could be used in the performance appraisal process at the end of the year. We also, in order to track all these efforts, we established a USDA-wide employee engagement program manager who works with representatives from each of our subcomponent agencies to discuss progress, identify best practices, address challenges and barriers, and share successful strategies for improvement. We asked each of our agencies to report monthly on their progress towards our employee engagement goals. And we're able to report any challenges we see or major progress up to all leadership in the organization. We're also able to support those organizations where we see that don't have the progress that we'd like to see. So in summary, I'd say that we've not only achieved our goal to be in the top 10 best places to work ahead of schedule, but we've also increased our results in the 10 workplace categories. For USDA, we've made a business case that engaged employees are more productive employees. We know that we've made great progress. We know there's more progress to be made, and we look forward to this year's survey. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you would thank all the employees at the Department of Agriculture for their service to this country. A lot of times, federal employees get beat up in the debates that happen here on Capitol Hill. And it's very important that they hear this message loud and clear, that they're appreciated not only by the American people, but by members of both parties for their service to the country. Thank you. Ms. Dingman, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Chairman Meadows and members of the subcommittee, thank you for inviting me to speak today regarding the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission's Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey results and the improved rankings of best places to work by the Partnership for Public Service. I am Lacey Dingman, the SEC's Chief Human Capital Officer, and I am honored to have the opportunity to speak to you about the SEC's efforts over the past 5 years to improve employee engagement. We are very pleased by the SEC's improved employee engagement scores, as reflected in the most recent survey results and the recognition we received from the Partnership for Public Service for being the most improved of any mid-sized agency. These positive results reflect the culmination of a persistent, multi-year effort by our employees, the National Treasury's Employee Union, and the SEC's leadership team in working together to create an environment that engages employees and supports their commitment to excellence on behalf of America's investors and our markets. The mission of the SEC is to protect investors, maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitate capital formation. To achieve this mission, we rely on an exceptionally skilled and dedicated workforce of over 4,700 employees in our Washington, D.C. headquarters and 11 regional offices located throughout the United States. The SEC staff includes economists, accountants, security compliance examiners, attorneys, quantitative analysts, information technologists, and administrative and operations personnel. Through their efforts, our employees strive every day to promote a market environment that is worthy of the public's trust. The Office of Personnel Management administered the 2016 survey at the SEC in May and June of last year. More than 76% of the eligible workforce shared their views by completing the survey. The response rate was our highest participation rate to date. Notable results from the survey include the 2016 results increased for 69 out of 71 questions, with the average increase of 4 percentage points. The SEC now ranks in the top 10 in most best places to work categories, including work-life balance, training and development, strategic management, and effective leadership. The SEC also ranks in third in OPM's Global Satisfaction Index, with an 18% improvement compared to 2012. We also saw an 11% increase in both OPM's Employee Engagement Index and the new Inclusion Quotient Index. The SEC's 2016 score is the highest in our agency's history, and we are now ranked in the top 25% of mid-sized agencies. It has taken 5 years of effort by SEC management, our union representatives, and SEC employees at every level and across every division and office to achieve this progress. Our experience shows that any change of this magnitude cannot begin nor succeed without significant buy-in at the top and without significant involvement and constructive engagement from rank-and-file staff and their representatives. As a result of numerous meetings with senior managers, listening sessions with employees, focus groups, and employee suggestions, the agency chose to focus on the following initiatives: improving communications across the agency and up and down the management chain, greater recognition of employee contribution to the mission, and better leadership development and employee training opportunities. While we are very pleased with our results, we know there's always room to improve. We know that we still have work to do, and we will continue our collective efforts to demonstrate our values of integrity, effectiveness, fairness, accountability, teamwork, and excellence, foster communication, collaboration, and transparency, and empower our employees to carry out the SEC's mission on behalf of American investors. We believe that the annual Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey is an important tool that provides a snapshot of the opinion of our employees. While the results and rankings are informative, they are only the starting point. The real work begins when we hold meaningful discussions with leadership teams to help them understand their results, create action plans, and follow through on how those plans can help our employees be efficient and productive. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to share with you the everyday efforts of my colleagues to make the SEC one of the best places to work in the federal government. I welcome any questions.
Thank you. And if you would please communicate the same message to the employees at the SEC, that we appreciate their service to our country and to those that they serve each and every day. Thank you for your leadership. So they have called votes, Ms. Bailey, so you're going to get a reprieve for right now. We've only got about 6 minutes left. There are 2 votes, possibly 2 votes, maybe as few as 1. And so for planning purposes, if you want to go get coffee, do whatever you need to do, you don't have to hang out here. We'll reconvene, but we will not reconvene any earlier than 10:40. And so at this point, I just wanted to let you know that for planning, so you can go get coffee, do whatever you need. So the committee will stand in recess, subject to the call of the chair,